everybody. So, our next installment in solo training and things we can do to improve our solo training. What I want to do is move one step further along the progression of isolated cutting drills, which is what we've done so far. We've talked about several different kinds of ways we can organize and add complexity to our cutting drills. There are essentially infinite variety of ways in which you can do that, and it's not worthwhile for me to attempt to create a video catalog of every single one of those. Lots of things already exist, lots of resources already exist for that. So what we're going to do is we're going to add one simple piece to our cutting drill, and that's a parry action. The most basic version of one of these that I suspect most of the viewers here are already going to be familiar with is the manual drill that exists in the British Isles broadsword and military saber tradition from the 18th century. Resources already exist for that. It's a readily accessible drill. So I'm not going to go over that drill. We're going to go over a different drill instead. But the layers of complexity by altering footwork that I'm going to introduce later can be applied to the manual drill, and of course, lots of other possible drills. The drill I'm going to go over now is one that I learned from the Salem Zouaves, who are a local living history and reenactment group portraying an American Civil War unit on the Union side, of course. And this is a drill that was used for training something more like this military saber than the broadsword material we're looking at so far. I know there's an enormous amount of crossover, myself included, in terms of people who study broadsword material and people who study saber material. And so this is a more saber-oriented drill. And the specific way in which it is a more saber-oriented drill is that it uses two guards that do not typically show up in broadsword, and those are a parry against cut 3 and a parry against cut 4, instead of using hangers or just leg slips for any of those sorts of actions, or just a level 3 or 4. This gives us an additional piece of things we can do against attacks below the level of my shoulder, besides my parries here like this, or slips and things like this. And it's one that makes sense with a lighter sword like this, but doesn't work as great with a heavier, earlier period broadsword. Alright, so again, my parry against cut 3 is here, alright, and my parry against cut 4 is here. From the side, parry against cut 3, parry against cut 4. They're fairly point-forward positions, unlike hangers, and of course they are hand-high, point-low versions, as opposed to doing a low inside or a low outside guard. So, the way this particular drill works is that it's intended as a paired drill, and so you're going to be practicing only one side of it at a time right now. And my suggestion is that with this drill, and of course also with the manual drill, you should practice both sides of the drill, simply because I prefer modern terminology, and because I find it more readily accessible to myself and to my students. I refer to the two sides of the drills as the coach's side and the student side. So the version of the manual drill that shows up on the poster is the student side of the drill, and the assumption is that the coach is doing the other side of the drill. They're doing the attached level to the parents. That's less relevant to terminology to think of with this drill I'm about to show you. This drill was created by a gentleman by the last name of Berriman, B-E-R-R-I-M-A-N, assuming I'm remembering that detail correctly. And so the way this works is one side throws cut 1, and then the other side throws cut 2. And so I'm going to parry appropriately for that. And then cut 3, and then the other side 4, and then cut 5, and the other side 6, and then cut 7, and then the other side, having parried the cut 7 up here in a St. George's guard, is going to do a thrust in a spadroon or half circle guard, and they're going to do this with a glissade type action. So the action looks like this, to bring it to this here. And if you imagine my opponent's sword is on top here, when I do this action, I would tend to fling my opponent's sword out of the way into this action here. So from the side, that looks like this. Okay? And this helps also explain the particular parry that we do from this. So I throw my cut 7, and then my opponent does the thrust against me. They are throwing me in this direction, and so that's the parry that I'm going to do against it. So their action tends to throw me that way, here, and so I'm just going to continue that motion and come into an inside guard against their thrust. This idea of taking the momentum given to me by my opponent's action and using it to power my next action, common sort of action in lots of sword play systems that does not show up as much in basic broadsword and saber systems. And so if it's an action you're not familiar with enough to feel like you can practice on your own without the feedback from a partner that you practice with this, simply leave that off the end of the drill. So statically, the drill looks like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, thrust. And then the other side of the drill looks like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, thrust. One of the things you'll note is that the drill happens all on one side. So I can do the drill like this, and I'm not going to hit the wall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, thrust. And then the other side of the drill ends up looking like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, thrust. It's an easy way to tell whether or not you're doing the drill correctly or not is, could you do this next to a wall without running into it? The next piece that I want to add to this drill approach is footwork. Initially, you do the drill statically without footwork, so you've got the hand action down. Once you've got the hand action down, you start adding in footwork. The most basic piece of footwork to do with this would, of course, be a lunge and a slip. This makes sense for regimented combats on a battlefield scenario. It is something you should already be familiar with, and so it looks something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, thrust, recover. The other sort of piece of footwork that we can do with this, that to my mind is a common and ordinary sort of selection for this, would be an advance and a retreat, in which case that will look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, thrust. The next piece that I want to add to this is what I refer to normally as progressing. And this is the idea that one person is pushing the other as a partner drill. So one side of the drill does advances, the other side of the drill does retreats. You're always moving forward or stationary when you attack, and you're always moving backwards or stationary when you defend. You never attack while moving backwards or defend while moving forwards in this version of the drill. And it ends up looking like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, recover. The other person's side of the drill then looks like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, thrust. And as a paired drill, you see how both people would start over here and move this way. No one moves backwards while attacking, no one moves forward while defending, thereby adhering to our basic principle of how to do this. This gives us some basic tools for how to progress our drills in terms of the footwork, and get the footwork a bit more like the sorts of things that might show up in a real fight, as opposed to being very static footwork that it is appropriate to initially start these sorts of drills with. As always, feedback, comments, questions are things I love, especially feedback on the audio, because I definitely have concerns about that. Thank you.